Morgan's kind of been my music therapist.
Woo!
And I'd be like, I'm dying, Morgan. And she'd be like, write a song, play the guitar.
There's a lot of that.
And she kind of like held me through some crucial moments. And she's someone I respect a lot, and she's a dear friend of mine because she's kind of been that pioneer to prioritize things that I haven't prioritized. And so I've kind of leaned on that example to keep alive. But
Love you.
yeah, you do. Love all you guys. But this is titled, and so I hope that this can be received in a way that is non-judgmental, and that, because you can look at a hummingbird in its flight and see the beauty of it, and then you can see like the baby hummingbird that fell out of the nest that's like starting to decay underneath the bush, and you can see the beauty in that too. There's some kind of sacred beauty of what's real. And if we deny it, then we're like afraid of something that's real, but we can find that beauty. Okay, one last little tidbit. A year ago, I took off work to take care of my grandfather, and he was struggling, and my family, my LDS family, my Mormon family, so I have a lot of extended Mormon family, which is another story, but so my grandparents were in Utah, and I used to have dreams when I was on Kauai. Me and Morgan met in Kauai, actually, and I was living in my backpack, and she was living, with friends and stuff, and on farms. And I had a reoccurring dream that me and my grandfather were in these two separate beds up in outer space. And there was this golden, like really beautiful dust. And we were both laying in this bed sleeping, and there was this like dust kind of swirling out of my grandfather into this like bright light, and then it was coming down into me. And it was a reoccurring dream that I would have. And he was starting to get a little bit of dementia at that time, but I would call him up. He never forgot me. He never forgot me. Me and him were really close. My dad was gone when I was a kid, and my grandpa raised me. So he was pretty much my dad, but his name was Buzz Wyatt. He was a true cowboy out of Santa Fe, New Mexico, one of the last true cowboys. This is his favorite ring. He got it as a teenager when he sold a calf that he saved and traded it on the reservation for a really old horse, an Apache horse, and this turquoise ring, and he wore it his whole life, and then he wore it as his wedding ring. But I was taking care of my grandpa, and I always just knew in my subconscious that I would take care of him when it was the time. But I always, in my logical mind, I always thought, I'll be too busy, it won't work out. But then it happened. I was able to go take care of him, and I was with him 24 hours a day for 3 months, and I was right there with him at the last breath, and at like 2:31 in the morning. And it was so beautiful. It was one of the most incredibly powerful experiences I ever had. It took the fear, what I said right away was it took the fear of death right out of me. And there was a big weight, a giant weight, like a whole mountain was on our shoulders. You couldn't see anything, it was dark, all the lights were off. But as soon as he passed, there was this, and I was sleeping on a cot right next to him, holding his hand. And he, as soon as he passed, there was like a whoosh feeling, that's the best way I can describe it, from his toes to his head. It was like a gust of air came out of him up through his head, is what it felt like, energetically. And all of a sudden, all that weight that was in the room disappeared. I felt like I could go run a marathon. I was like, felt like I was prime, like in perfect, I could do anything. And all of a sudden I could see everything. And I couldn't see anything before, none of the lights had turned on. All of a sudden I could see everything. But anyways, it was so beautiful. It was awesome. It was so cool. And he was getting taken care of by all these LDS people, and bless their hearts. Bless their hearts and bless everyone and bless anyone that is associated with these things. But that culture kind of has an energy of like, oh, I'm so sorry and I'm so sad for you and I'm so sorry and I'm so sad. And so they would come around, the nurses and stuff, and they thought I was crazy because I had long hair. They were like, who's this freaking weirdo? You know, and they all were very difficult with me. I had to really repress everything to be there for my grandpa, but I would always say, oh, we're graceful. He'd be in his wheelchair. We'd be playing his favorite country music, real old school country, the good stuff. I mean, I wish I could quote some names, but I don't remember. But you know, a little bit of Johnny Cash in there. We played Highwayman quite a bit.
Mm.
I'm a highwayman, and he'd smile and tap his foot. He loved music, but I'd be pushing him in his wheelchair, and we'd be playing his country music on a speaker, and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your grandfather. I'm just so sad that your grandfather was going through this." And I'd be like, "We're having a good time," and he's graceful. And Grandpa would be on the toilet, constipated, having a hard time getting it out. He'd be coughing up blood. His whole mouth would be just, all this stuff would be coming out. I'd be catching it. I'd be right there with them. And he'd have a moment of clarity. He was super independent. He wanted to do everything on his own, like right to the last bit. And I would let him. I would let him try with every little tiny thing throughout the day. I'd let him give it his best effort. And then right at that moment where he needed it, I would help. But he's coughing up the blood, and he looks at me, and he's like, "I'm dying, Cody." And I looked at him in the eyes, and I said, "And I'm going to be right here with you every step of the way with a smile on my face. We're going to do this together, Grandpa."
Aw.
And but the moral of the story is that it was one really powerful example where there's beauty in the darkness. And it doesn't mean that we like it or that we understand it or that we'd ever want it to be, but there's something about the balance of this realm. And I haven't even read this for a long time, but it's the only one I have a book, but I didn't bring that, so.